Do you recognize that sound? Or how about this one? These aren't just annoying noises. For thousands of car owners, they're the terrifying sounds of a ticking time bomb. A bomb sitting in the garage, disguised as a reliable, everyday car. We're not talking about 20-year-old rusty clunkers coming apart at the seams. We're talking about popular, recent models, cars you see on the road every day. Cars that were sold with promises of efficiency, reliability, and cutting-edge technology. But behind the polished paint and sophisticated marketing, they hide catastrophic design flaws. Flaws that can cause engines to self-destruct without warning, electronic components to go haywire on the road, and steering systems to simply stop working when you need them most. These aren't minor inconveniences. These are repair bills that don't start at $1,000. They can reach $5,000, $10,000, even $20,000, often costing more than the car itself is worth. Today, we're going to reveal everything about the 10 cars that mechanics will never want to see in the next few years. Number 10. The Kia Picanto, 2017 to 2022. Let's start with the Kia Picanto. It's the perfect compact city car, right? It's cheap to buy, cheap to run, and comes with Kia's reputation for reliability. It's the smart, sensible choice, but for many owners, this sensitivity disappears the first time they hear the noise. It often begins as a slight metallic noise or a brief clunking sound upon cold start, something easily dismissed as a quirk, but this small noise is often the first sign of a fatal timing system failure. While many engines utilize a robust timing chain designed to last the life of the vehicle, many Picantos, especially third-generation models, suffer from premature chain stretch or tensioner failure. The tensioner is a critical component that keeps the chain taut. When it weakens, the chain becomes slack. At first, it merely makes noise, but as it becomes looser, it can begin to skip teeth on the camshaft sprockets. This throws off engine timing, resulting in rough idle, poor performance, and eventually the dreaded check engine light. Catch the problem early, and you could avoid a repair bill of around $900 to $1,200 for a new chain, guides, and tensioner. But if it breaks, you'll be looking at a bill that easily exceeds $2,000 for a major engine rebuild, if it's salvageable. The real problem? These failures have been reported at surprisingly low mileage, sometimes under 50,000 kilometers, well within the time frame when owners expect zero problems. If your little Picanto is making a strange engine noise, don't ignore it. It's not acting strange. It's crying out for help. Number 9. The Škoda Kamiq, 2020 to 2023. With the backing of Volkswagen engineering, the Škoda Kamiq presents itself as a smart, practical, and perfectly sensible family crossover. The danger here isn't the engine, it's in your hands. The Kamiq has been affected by a deeply disturbing defect in its electronic power steering system. The fault usually lies in the complex electronic network that controls the steering assistance, the control unit, the angle sensors, and the software that connects it all. It starts up innocently enough. You might notice that the steering feels unusually stiff when parking, or you might see a fleeting warning light on the dashboard that disappears as quickly as it appeared. But the problem is progressive and dangerously unpredictable. Drivers report that the steering suddenly feels heavy and unresponsive, as if the power assistance has died completely, sometimes at low speeds, but frighteningly, sometimes on the highway. Imagine trying to change lanes abruptly to avoid an obstacle, and suddenly the steering wheel feels stuck in the concrete. In some reported cases, the steering wheel can jerk unevenly or even lock up briefly during an overtaking maneuver. The problem is often intermittent and may not store any error codes, leading dealerships to misdiagnose it as a minor software glitch or a low battery. Meanwhile, the real problem of faulty steering rack or control module is getting worse. Out of warranty, this isn't a cheap fix. You're looking at a bill ranging from $1,100 to over $1,800, often with long waits for parts. Number 8. The Ford Kuga Plug-in Hybrid, 2019 to 2021. The Ford Kuga PHEV was marketed as the future, a smart, efficient, family-friendly SUV that offered the best of both worlds. The problems with this vehicle are systemic and deeply frustrating, often revolving around the complex interplay between the hybrid battery, the motor, and the numerous control modules. The most infamous issue is the unpredictable engine failure service required message that appears on the dashboard for no apparent reason. This could happen after charging, during a short electric-only trip, or even while cruising. Dealerships would clear the code, only for it to reappear days or even hours later. But this was much more than just an annoying light. In 2020, Ford issued urgent safety recalls because the high-voltage batteries were at risk of overheating and catching fire. The company even asked owners to stop charging their cars, completely defeating the purpose of owning a plug-in hybrid and forcing them to use gasoline, doubling their maintenance costs. Even in cars that haven't been recalled, electrical problems are legion. Unstable software causes erratic behavior, from infotainment system glitches to the car unexpectedly entering safe mode, drastically reducing power when attempting to merge into traffic. Trying to fix these issues is like whack-a-mole. A dealership might replace a sensor for $300, but the root cause faulty software or a faulty control module remains. Out of warranty, repairs for the hybrid system can easily exceed $2,500, with cars sometimes sitting at dealerships for weeks on end awaiting parts and software patches. Number 7. The Peugeot 208, 2018 to 2023. The Peugeot 208, like its Citroën and Opel siblings, relied heavily on the award-winning 1.2-liter PureTech engine. But this engine's Achilles heel is the disastrous wet timing belt design. The story is tragic. A rubber belt, submerged in oil, slowly disintegrates over time. These rubber particles then embark on a mission to destroy your engine from the inside out. They clog the oil pump filter, causing oil starvation, and can even block the vacuum pump, leading to a sudden and complete loss of brake assist. Yes, you read that right, your engine can misfire, and your brakes can stop working at the same time. But the PureTech engine decided to add a second, equally devastating problem to its list: excessive oil consumption. Many of these engines suffer from faulty piston rings or valve seals. This allows engine oil to leak into the combustion chamber, where it is burned along with the fuel. Owners report having to top off a quart of oil every 1,000 miles or less. Worse still, timing belt problems are accelerated by droplets of unburned fuel that slip past faulty piston rings and mix with the oil, creating an even more abrasive chemical cocktail that corrodes the belt. Stellantis, the parent company, has faced lawsuits and issued extended warranty programs in some regions, but countless owners have been left with exorbitant bills. Timing belt replacement alone costs over $1,200. If the oil consumption problem requires an engine rebuild, you'll face a bill that can easily exceed $3,500. Number 6. The Volkswagen Tiguan, 2016 to 2020. Oh, Volkswagen Tiguan, você os vê em todos os lugares. Eles são a pedra angular do mercado de SUVs familiares, conhecidos por sua sensação de solidez, conforto e confiabilidade percebida. Mas, escondido em certos modelos, TDI de segunda geração, há defeito na direção que é tão caro quanto perigoso. O problema se origina na cremoleira da direção elétrica. Assim como no Skoda Kamiq, os sintomas começam pequenos. Uma breve mensagem de aviso no painel que desaparece ao dar a partida. Uma leve rigidez ou ruído de rangido ao fazer manobras de estacionamento apertadas é fácil ignorar, mas o problema geralmente é progressivo. A direção começará a resistir cada vez mais, às vezes parecendo pesada e sem vida, fazendo com que o carro pareça irritantemente desconectado da estrada. Então, muitas vezes sem nenhuma luz de aviso, a direção elétrica pode falhar completamente. O volante fica incrivelmente pesado, exigindo esforço físico significativo para girar. Embora isso seja administrável em estacionamento, imagine acontecer durante uma manobra de emergência em uma estrada molhada. É uma receita para o desastre. Os mecânicos frequentemente descobrem que o motor interno da cremoleira da direção ou seu módulo de controle estão com defeito. Não é uma solução simples. Todo o conjunto da cremoleira da direção frequentemente precisa ser substituído. Esta é uma manutenção importante, e a conta reflite eso, normalmente variando de US dollar 1.5 a bem mais de US dollar 2. Number 5. The Opel divided by Vauxhall Astra, 2015 to 2018. The Opel Astra, or Vauxhall in the UK, has a long-standing reputation as a reliable and practical family car. But lurking in the engine compartment of many K-generation models equipped with the 1.6 city turbo petrol engine lies a silent killer, a problem known as low-speed pre-ignition, or LSPI. LSPI is a violent, uncontrolled combustion event that occurs at low revs under high load. Imagine accelerating smoothly up a hill in high gear. Instead of a smooth burn, the air-fuel mixture detonates prematurely and violently, like a hammer blow to the top of the piston. This sends a massive pressure spike through the engine. In these 1.6 turbo engines, this phenomenon can be particularly destructive. The immense force of LSPI can crack piston rings or even shatter the piston itself. The first signs are incredibly subtle. You might hear a slight ticking or knocking at low revs, something easily mistaken for a small, ancillary noise. An engine can run perfectly one moment, then suddenly lose power the next, start misfiring violently, and then stall, refusing to restart. When this happens, the damage is already done. Mechanics often find destroyed pistons and scratched cylinder walls. The only solution is a complete engine rebuild or replacement. We're not talking about a minor repair here. This is a brutal and financially devastating failure, with costs ranging from $2,800 to over $4,500, depending on the extent of the internal destruction. The root cause is a combination of direct injection technology and engine design that makes it susceptible to such detonations. Number 4. The Mercedes-Benz A-Class, 2018 to 2023. When you buy a Mercedes-Benz, you're buying more than just a car. You're buying a promise of luxury, engineering excellence, and above all, dependability. But for a shocking number of owners of the W177 Generation A-Class, that promise has been broken by a relentless barrage of electronic failures. The main source of trouble isn't necessarily the engine itself, often a capable unit sourced from Renault, but the fiendishly complex electronic ecosystem that surrounds it. We're talking about unstable engine control units, ECUs, moisture-sensitive wiring harnesses, and a dizzying array of sensors that seem designed to fail at the most inconvenient times. The symptoms are a nightmare of unpredictability. Drivers report a Christmas tree of random warning lights on the dashboard. The most terrifying is the sudden activation of limp mode, where the car's computer deliberately slashes engine power to protect itself. This can happen without warning at 70 miles per hour on the motorway, leaving you dangerously vulnerable. Finding the source of the problem is often a costly and infuriating process. Error codes can mysteriously disappear by the time you get the car to the workshop. Heavy rain or even a simple car wash can be enough to trigger a new set of faults as moisture finds its way into poorly sealed connectors. The repair bills start to stack up relentlessly. It might begin with a $450 sensor replacement. When that doesn't work, it's an $800 diagnostic fee and a new wiring harness. If the ECU itself needs reprogramming or replacing, you could be looking at a bill north of $1,500. These failures rarely happen in isolation. They overlap, creating an endless, exhausting cycle of repairs that tests both your patience and your bank account. Behind that prestigious three-pointed star lies a car that can hide a cascade of electronic faults, ready to turn the dream of ownership into a waking nightmare. Number 3. The Ford Fiesta, 2012 to 2017. The Ford Fiesta. For years, it was the darling of Europe. Compact, fun to drive, and celebrated for its revolutionary 1-liter EcoBoost engine, a small 3-cylinder engine that won numerous awards for its combination of performance and fuel economy. The fatal flaw in hundreds of thousands of these engines lay in a design that seemed brilliant on paper: the timing belt. Instead of a traditional dry belt or a robust timing chain, Ford opted for a wet belt, a rubber belt that runs inside the engine, bathed in hot oil. The idea was to reduce friction, noise, and improve efficiency. The reality? It was an engineering catastrophe in slow motion. You see, hot engine oil and rubber are not friends. Over time, the oil slowly and relentlessly degrades the belt's composite material. It begins to delaminate, releasing tiny rubber particles. These fragments don't simply disappear, they are sucked into the oil flow, creating a thick, gritty sludge. This sludge does exactly what you'd expect. It clogs everything. It starts with the oil filter on the oil pump, depriving the engine of its lifeblood. The scary thing? There's almost never a warning. No check engine light, no strange noises. Your precious engine runs perfectly until it stops. Mechanics who open these engines describe finding a black, sticky mess where the belt used to be. If you're very lucky and notice it during an overhaul, replacing a wet belt is a labor-intensive job that can cost upwards of $1,200 to $1,500. But what if the belt fails and takes the engine with it? You're looking at a bill of over $4,000 for a rebuild or even more for a replacement engine. Number 2. The Fiat 500X, 2018 to 2022. Second place goes to this, the Fiat 500X with a 1.3-liter Firefly turbo engine. Sleek, compact, and one of Fiat's best-selling models, it looks like the perfect, lively, compact SUV. But behind this charming exterior lurks a turbocharger problem so common and destructive that it can turn car ownership into a financial disaster. The problem begins quietly, with symptoms incredibly easy to overlook. A slight loss of power during acceleration, a faint, high-pitched whistle coming from the engine compartment, a small but steady increase in oil consumption. Many drivers assume this is normal for a small, powerful turbo engine. But it's not. What's really happening is that the turbocharger is slowly wearing out, often due to poor oil circulation and bearing wear. As the turbo degrades, its seals fail, and it begins leaking oil directly into the intake system. This oil contaminates everything in its path. It saturates the intercooler, coats the inside of the intake manifolds, and clogs the EGR valve. When performance drops significantly or the turbo fails completely with a cloud of blue smoke, you're faced with a major repair. If you catch the problem early and only the turbo needs replacing, you could end up with a bill of around $1,500. But this rarely happens. Oil contamination is often widespread. Cleaning or replacing the intercooler, intake manifold, and sensors can easily push the final bill to over $2,500 and often closer to $3,500 if the catalytic converter is damaged. Number 1. The Land Rover Range Rover Sport, 2010 to 2015. At the top of our blacklist, the Land Rover Range Rover Sport. It's the undisputed king of the luxury SUV world. But for owners of models equipped with the formidable 5-liter V8 engine, this image of invincibility can be shattered by one of the most infamous engine failures of the modern era. The problem is deeply rooted in the engine, the timing chain, guides, and tensioners. These critical components, which should last at least 150,000 miles, were made of a plastic material that becomes brittle and wears prematurely. The first sign of impending catastrophe is often subtle, a distinct death rattle or a chain clicking for a few seconds during a cold start. It sounds like a chain dragging on concrete. As the guides wear, the timing chains lose tension. As the chains loosen, they can jump a tooth on the sprockets, wreaking havoc on the engine's precise mechanical timing. The result is that the pistons hit the valves, causing massive and instantaneous internal destruction. The engine doesn't just fail, it essentially self-destructs from the inside. There's no cheap fix for this. If you detect the noise early and proactively replace the chains, tensioners, and guides, you're still looking at an extremely labor-intensive job that will cost between $4,000 and $7,000. If you ignore the noise and the chain fails, you're not repairing the engine, you're replacing it. A new Land Rover 5-liter V8 engine can cost over $20,000. So there you have it, 10 popular cars, from the humble city runabout to the premium luxury SUV, all sharing one thing in common: hidden, expensive, and sometimes dangerous flaws that can turn the dream of ownership into a nightmare. This isn't about scaring you, it's about empowering you. The more you know, the better protected you are from making a costly mistake. Now, we want to build a community of informed drivers right here. So, we want to hear from you. Have you owned any of the cars on this list? Did you experience one of these nightmare repairs? Or did you manage to dodge the bullet? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience could be the warning that saves someone else a fortune and a world of stress. It genuinely helps strengthen our community and keep everyone informed. If this video has opened your eyes or given you valuable information, do us a massive favor and hit that like button. It really helps the channel reach more people. And if you want more insider tips and deep dives that the car industry would rather you didn't see, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for watching. Drive safe, do your research, and stay informed.